Alright, this is video 3 and we're going to just do a quick check of our answers. So please notice that everything is lined up for our adding problem and for our subtraction problem. Notice I did put a little 0 here to hold the place value, so I knew that this was 10 minus 9. Okay, and also that when borrowing from zeros, I make sure that I am borrowing correctly. And then for multiplication, I just want to make sure that I am being careful and doing all my facts correctly. And then when I was finished, I knew 6 times 3 is 18, so it made sense for my answer to be 23. And then lastly, sometimes these are tricky. When I subtract and I get a 2 and I can't put any 6's into a 2, I have to put a 0 up there. So sometimes when we have to have zeros in our answer, they get a little tricky too. So you have to be really careful of that. Okay, if you're not sure how you got your answer, please stop the video and go back and check. Okay? All right, this is the last thing for operations for your final. The operations final is actually gonna have the most problems on it. So make sure that you are going over, giving yourself problems and practicing. So we are going to have our last thing, which is for the final, know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimal word problems. Common mistakes, don't forget your labels. Don't do the wrong processes. So try to think about what you're supposed to do. Are you supposed to add or subtract, multiply or divide? And make sure you check work for reasonable answers. So if I am working for 5 hours and I get paid $2 an hour, it wouldn't make sense for me to earn $100, or it wouldn't make sense for me to earn $1. So make sure it makes sense, okay? So we're gonna just do 2 of these problems, so this video will be a little quicker. So Wendy is babysitting and earns $12.50 per hour. If she works 15 hours this month, how much did she earn? So the first thing I want to do is see what the question's asking. So I want to know how much she earns. So this sounds something like either a multiplication problem, or it could also be an addition problem. So for 1 hour, she gets $12.50. So she works 15 hours. That tells me that since she gets paid the same amount of $12.50, I'm going to do $12.50 times 15 hours. Now, I also know that multiplication is repeated addition. So if I want to, I can do 1250 plus 1250 plus 1250, and I have to do it 15 times, which is a lot of work, but I do whatever it takes to get an answer, okay? So I'm getting ready to show my work, but before I do that, I want to make sure to write an equation. So I might want to write my equation as $12.50 an hour times 15 hours is going to get me how much she's going to earn. So I might want to put the answer like 1250 times 15, and I might put the letter B, or the variable B, for babysitting. So that means that B is going to represent the total I get for babysitting. So I'm going to go ahead and solve this out. So I have 5 times 0 is 0, 25, 10, 12, 5 times 1 is 5, and then 0, 5, 2, 1. I'm going to add it together. And I get this really big long number. So I have to think about what makes sense for money, okay? So first of all, I'm looking at, I have a 12 here and I have a 15 here, and those are both whole numbers. So I would do like 12 times 15. If I want to just make it easy, I could say what's 10 times 10, and that's 100. So if I did 20 times 20, that would be 400, which would be a little bit more. But I know my answer has to be reasonable, and I know that money always ends with 2 digits on the end. So for here, I'm going to put my decimal here because that makes sense to me, that she would be paid more than $100, but that I have to have 2 places to the right. So when I write my solution with a label, I don't have to write any words because my label is actually my unit of money. So I'm going to go ahead and write my answer of $187.50. So that's how much she would make if she babysat for 15 hours. Okay? All right, the next problem we're going to look at is trying to determine whether we add, subtract, multiply, or divide. So this says Mrs. Boyd has 4 and 53/100 pounds of sugar. She divides all of the sugar into 3 bowls. How much sugar will each bowl contain? So that means that I'm looking for how much sugar will each bowl contain. So how much each bowl will hold. Well, I know there are 3 bowls, and this is my total, and I see this word divide, so it pretty much tells me what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my 4 and 53/100 pounds of sugar, and I'm going to divide those into 3 bowls, and I'm going to make this equal S for sugar. So the S is going to represent how many each sugar bowl is going to get, okay? So I'm going to take my 4 and 53/100, divide it by 3. Notice I'm just going to put my decimal point up there, and I divide like I normally would. Nice and easy. Whoa, running out of room. So I just brought down that 3, and I can fit 1 in. So that tells me that each bowl is going to be 1 and 51/100 of what? There's my label, pounds. Now, if we write the word sugar, that's okay, but pounds would be our best answer because that's the unit that we're using. Okay? All right, this is the last one that you have to do. So you are going to finish up this, and you're going to try these on your own, and then you are finished. So this says a magazine costs $9.89. If Lauren buys 7 magazines, how much will she pay for all of them? And the last one is Mrs. Myers buys 6 bags of treats for Josie. If the total for all of the treats is $15.24, how much would each bag cost? So she buys 6 bags and pays this much. How much would it be for just 1 bag? So think about what you might do for that, okay? When you are finished with these 2 problems, come find me and I will give you the answer key. All right, good luck.